Hey everyone, in today's video, I'll be going over an Anakin Skywalker build. And it covers both his good side, the blue lightsaber, and his bad side, the red lightsaber. Also, you can take down bosses with just a few attacks as well, like it's pretty wild. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly content, cause if you don't... If you find this video enjoyable, I have other build related videos on my channel, if you want to check those out afterwards. But now, let's dive into the build starting off with Skywalker's lightsabers.
This is where the fun begins.
So the one I want to cover first is going to be his dark side weapon, his red lightsaber, or the cane sword in Elden Ring. Before I continue on, I just have to say this weapon sucks ass. Like, it took me so long to figure out a way to make it a viable option without going crazy on the bleed buildup. So I'm not asking you to like the video, but it'd be pretty sick if you did. Now, let's get back into it. Normally you can't make the weapon glow red, so we're going to use the Ash of War Seppuku to do that. And surprisingly, this isn't a full-on bleed build. Like, yes, there is some bleed involved, but that's not our only source of damage. We're also going to use the bleed variation, and yeah, I know, I said it's not a bleed focus build, but when you apply the bleed variation, it has pretty good scaling with dex, coming in at a B rating. So why not get the best out of both? Because we can proc a bleed buildup so easily now cause this weapon reaches 110 bleed buildup, plus however much the Ash of War Seppuku adds on, it only makes sense to slap on the Lord of Blood's Exultation. It'll give us a 20% damage buff whenever a blood loss happens near us, and if you can't tell, that'll be pretty easy to get going. So there's not too much to Anakin's red lightsaber for this build, so now let's go to his blue lightsaber. And again, we're going with a second cane sword cause they naturally look the closest to a lightsaber. Like, you can still use any other straight sword, it's just not going to look as nice as all, but the performance will be a bit better. A little surprise to this is you'll actually want to use the keen version cause it has really good scaling, coming in at an A rating for dex. Also, we can use some Ashes of War with this, so we're going to want to have this in our main hand with the red lightsaber in our offhand. To get that blue glowing effect like lightsabers do, we're going to need magic grease to apply to the weapon. I've tried using Scholar's Armament, which does the same thing, but I encountered a problem where you couldn't have the red cane sword out with the blue sword at the same time. It was just really annoying, and this just works much better. So now we're getting a bit of magic damage on top of the sword's physical damage, so throwing in the magic scorpion charm is going to help out by increasing all of our magic damage by an extra 12%. And for the Ash of War, there isn't one that really stands out, but I like going with squared off for a couple of reasons. The attack is pretty good in terms of damage, you can also break an opponent's shield extremely easily with the light attack, and it also just looks really cool, holding it like you're about to have a lightsaber duel. Honestly, using the blue lightsaber or cane sword by itself just really sucks ass, but when you use both of them together, dual wielding, you turn every enemy into Count Dooku. If you didn't know, he gets clapped pretty hard here. And something that helps out with the damage and saving some stat points later on is MILLICENT'S Prosthesis. It increases our attack damage with successive attacks, and the straight swords swing pretty fast, so it won't be hard to get this going at all. Also, it gives us 5 extra levels in dex for even more damage. Pretty nice little 2-in-1 effect going on. Unfortunately, you can't force choke enemies like he does in the movies, but we got the next best thing. You ever just want to throw a lightsaber at someone in Elden Ring, like Yoda? Not baby Yoda, regular Yoda. Well, guess what? You can do just that, and all you need is the Regalia straight sword. When you use its special attack, your character throws the blade forward, doing a lot of damage during its little spin animation. It's kind of like throwing a blender at somebody, but a little bit worse. Now, this is where you have the option to choose looks over functionality. We can all agree the blue cane sword looks the most like a lightsaber. It's just really cool while being decently effective. But the Regalia sword is a lot stronger than the cane sword, like almost 2 times stronger. And I'm not just talking about its special attack, but basic attacks as well. Like, I've been able to reach above 1500 attack power with this, and that's not from using the special attack, purely basic attacks only. All around, it's just better. But again, it's not as cool looking, so that option's up to you. And cause the special attack on the Regalia doesn't do just one big hit, but instead 100 little hits, using the Rotten Wing Talisman is going to be perfect for this. It's the same thing as MILLICENT'S Prosthesis, except it doesn't give us those 5 levels in dex, but it gives us even more damage with successive attacks, and these two talismans stack on top of each other. Lastly, I thought I'd throw in one more little bonus weapon in case you feel like being Darth Maul. Unfortunately, I can't play the music from this clip, so I'm just gonna have to do it myself. For that, we can use ELEONORA'S POLEBLADE. It already has the red glowing effect on the blades to match the look, and the special attack matches Darth Maul as well. Your character basically sends himself flying through the air, swinging the sword like a madman, hitting everything that's close to him. It also builds up a blood loss as well, which is a really nice addition to it. So that's everything for the weapons and talismans. Now let's move on to the Flask of Wondrous Physic. For that, we'll want to use the Thorny crack tier, which increases our damage with successive attacks. The same thing as a Winged Sword Talisman and MILLICENT'S Prosthesis. And the best thing about this is all three of these stack on top of each other. The other tier is the MAGIC-SHROUDING tier, which is going to increase our magic damage by an extra 20%, because the Cane Sword and Regalia Sword deal magic damage, so just adding a little bit more to it. And both of these tiers last for 3 minutes, which is really nice. Next up, we have the armor, that gives us that, let's go kill some younglings in the Jedi Temple look. Bum, ba-da-dum, da-da-dum-dum. So for that, I'm going with FIA'S hood, Confessor's armor, Perfumer's gloves, and the Preceptor's trousers. If you want to go with a younger Anakin look, you can go with no hood and use the Preceptor's long gown with the altered variation and have the same boots and gloves equipped. This is more of a Republic Anakin look. Lastly, we got the minimum stats required. You'll need at least 12 strength, 21 dex, and 19 arcane to use all the weapons. Afterwards, I would recommend splitting your points between dex and arcane to further increase your damage and bleed buildup. I'm also going to put links in the description down below for all the gear I'm using, if you want more information on it and where you can find it all for yourselves. Now I'm just going to show a bunch of gameplay using this build on different bosses. But before that, I'd like to give a big thanks to the members of my channel for supporting me on my videos and the future ones to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.